So we've gone over the addition and multiplication properties of equality, and now we're able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide with the goal of isolating the variable and solving the equation. So that's nice. And of course we remember that what we do to one side of the equation we must do to the other side. But with that being said, it'd be even nicer if we could get a standard step-by-step procedure to be able to solve equations. And so that's what I've got here, a general strategy for solving equations. Now before I get into this and go over the steps, it's important to understand that you're not going to have to apply all of these steps for each problem. For example, in the first one, the first step only applies if you have fractions. So if you don't have a fraction, you can skip to step 2. But let's just get to it, and I'll go through the steps. Step 1, multiply on both sides by the least common denominator to clear the equation of fractions if they occur. Step 2, use the distributive property to remove parentheses if they occur. Step 3, simplify each side of the equation by combining like terms. And so after step 3, we'll have both sides of the equation will be simplified, so two simplified expressions. Then step 4, get all variable terms on one side and all numbers on the other side by using the addition property of equality. Hopefully this is looking familiar. Step 5, get the variable alone by using the multiplication property of equality. And step 6, check the solution by substituting it into the original equation. So there's nothing really new here. Perhaps maybe besides the first step with the fractions, maybe you haven't done that in solving equations, but you've done that in other areas to multiply by the least common denominator. So there's nothing really new. It's just a step-by-step guide that makes it just a general strategy, makes things easier to solve equations. So let's get to it and solve some equations. So remember, step 1 only applies for fractions, so we can just skip that here and go on to step 2, which is, I'll scroll back up here to make sure you guys see it. Use the distributive property to remove parentheses if they occur. So we're going to do that here, and I'll put it kind of circle step 2. And so we've got 4 times 4x is 16x. 4 times 2 is 8 plus 3 equals 3x minus 2. So that's step 2. Step 3 says simplify each side of the equation by combining like terms. So now on the left side there's only a variable term, but we can take care of these constants, so that's going to be 16x plus 11. Right side is fine. And so now we've got everything simplified here, so we can move on to step 4, which is to get all variable terms on one side and all numbers on the other side using the addition property. So that means I usually like to try to add or subtract to get it so there's a positive term on one side instead of having a negative term on the other side. So that means it'd be best if we subtract 3x from both sides. So that's what we'll do. 16x plus 11 minus 3x equals 3x minus 2 minus 3x. 16x and 3x, negative 3x are the terms we've got here, so we get 13x plus 11. Cancel these out here like we want it, equals negative 2. Now we need to get the numbers on the other side, so we'll subtract 11 here. So we'll get 13x plus 11 minus 11 equals negative 2 minus 11. 13x equals negative 13. In step 5, if you can guess, we're going to use the multiplication property to get the variable alone, meaning a coefficient of 1 on the variable. So we can divide here by 13 in there, and that's going to give us a coefficient of 1 on the variable, which is what we want. And then on the right side, negative 13 divided by 13 is going to be x equals negative 1. So we solve the equation, and you know what comes next. We need to check it, so I'll do that in blue. That's step 6. So we need to plug in negative 1 for x in this equation here. So that's 4 times negative 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 3 times negative 1 minus 2, kind of running out of room. And we're checking here, so I'll put a question mark here. So when we're checking, remember, we're just trying to get it so if both sides of the equation are equal to each other, that means that yes, we can put the equal sign here and make it a true statement. So that's basically saying yes, the solution works. So okay, I'll just take care of inside the parentheses first. So we have 4 times negative 1 is negative 4 plus 2, which is negative 2. So then we're multiplying 4 times negative 2, so that's negative 8 plus 3. And then on the right side we have 3 times negative 1 is negative 3 minus 2, and it's question mark still. Negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5, and on the right side it's negative 5 as well. So yep, x equals negative 1. And the next one, again, there's no fractions. 3 times the quantity 2 minus t equals negative 5t. So we can move on to step 2, which is, if you'll remember, I'll scroll up again just to help you guys see the steps. Use the distributive property to remove parentheses if they occur. So we do have parentheses here, so we're going to distribute out this 3 here. So we have 6 minus 3t equals negative 5t. Step 3 is to combine like terms, but we don't have any terms to combine on either side, so we can move on to step 4, which is get all variable terms on one side and all numbers on the other side by using the addition property of equality. Okay. Usually I say to get it so there's a positive variable term instead of having a negative variable term on the other side, but here it'd be easier if we just added the 3t, and that will take care of separating out the numbers in variable terms in one step. It might leave a negative variable term, but that's okay, we can deal with that. So we are going to add 3t to both sides, and that's going to leave us with 6 equals negative 2t. And this was step 4. Now we're on to step 5, which, if you'll remember, is just to get the coefficient to 1 by using the multiplication property or division property of equality. And we're going to divide both sides by negative 2 to get it just to be 1t. So that's going to give us negative 3 equals t, otherwise known as t equals negative 3. And check in step 6, 3 times 2 minus a negative 3. Put that in parentheses. It's always important, even though you're in algebra, to be careful with your arithmetic and signs, because that's where a lot of problems can occur. So I'll just take care of it in parentheses first. 2 minus negative 3, question mark. 2 minus negative 3 is the same as 2 plus 3, so that's 5 inside parentheses. 3 times 5 is 15. Negative 5 times negative 3 is 15. Yes, t equals negative 3. Last one. A over 4 plus 1 equals 2/3 a minus 4. Okay, so we actually have a fraction in this one. So we're going to have to look at step 1 to see what we need to do. And it says, a lot of scrolling, but that's okay. Multiply on both sides by the least common denominator to clear the equations of fractions if they occur. So the idea behind this is it'd be nice when we have expressions. It's nice when we can just multiply this side by 4, and that will take care of this expression. And on the right side, we would multiply by 3, and that would take care of this 3 in the denominator here, and that would take care of the fractions on both sides. But remember, since it's equation, we have to multiply. If we're going to multiply, we have to multiply by the same number on both sides. So what we can do to take care of the fractions while still multiplying by the same number is to use a common denominator, and it'd be best if we use the least common denominator. and the least common denominator of 4 and 3 is 12. So what we're going to do here is just multiply both sides by 12. It's going to take care of these fractions. So we'll just put a big parentheses here and multiply by 12 on both sides. Okay, and step 2 is the distributive property. So take care of this. 12 times a over 4 is 3a, just 12 divided by 4. And then 12 times 1 is 12. And then 12 times 2/3 a is, well, we can either do 12 times 2 equals 24 divided by 3, or else we can do 12 divided by 3 equals 4. Multiply that by 2 to give us 8a, either way. And then 12 times -4, remember to multiply by the 12, not by the 4. I've made that mistake before. 12 times -4 is -48. Okay, now we need to, step 3 is to combine like terms. We don't need to do that. There are no like terms to combine. So we can move on to step 4, which is to get the variables on one side and the numbers on the other side. So we'll get this -3a taken care of and put the variables on the right side. So 3a plus 12 subtract 3a equals 8a minus 48. Subtract 3a on the right side. These are taken care of. 12 equals 8a minus 3a is 5a minus 48. Now we need to get this 48 on the other side. So we'll do 12 plus 48 equals 5a minus 48 plus 48. 12 plus 48 is 60. That's not a 60. This is a 60 equals 5a. And step 5 is to use the multiplication property. So we're just going to divide by 5 on both sides to get us a by itself. So it's going to give us 12 equals a. That's our solution. I'll leave it to you guys to check that. But that's all I have for this video. In the next video, we'll do more problems like this and kind of some different problems using this strategy that we have.